hello everybody, for those that are here. How's everybody doing? Yeah, all right, great. My name is John Porterfield. I'm going to be doing a presentation on LiveU Studio in the field case studies. So I'll talk a little bit about myself and a little bit about what I'm doing with LiveU and how we've integrated also with some customer projects and how we're utilizing both the LiveU Studio technology in terms of what you see here at the show from a cloud-based workflow as well as the LiveU, traditional LiveU field units. So a little bit about me and about who is Social 180 Group. So we're a small production company out of Southern California. I've spent the past year or decade in webcast and streaming productions, have a heavy history in tech production or technology, and we're focused on live streaming and services. So if we think about where live streaming is going and the progress we're making in terms of an industry, we're looking at both the technology, but also as a service to help clients and deliver their focus on some type of digital reality, content distribution, and a variety of different productions. So what do we do in streaming is we cover a couple different things, and I'll talk about LiveU Studio here in just a second. From a managed production area, we're focused on working on supporting video production environments, traditional live streaming, as well as cloud productions, which I'll talk about here in a moment. And we do post-event support. So kind of my background, just to kind of give a little more background, is that, I am a streaming specialist and work a lot with the streaming encoders, but there's another element that I've worked on with both being on staff for a very large church organization where we had to do VOD type video on demand webcast archives, and that would be uploaded to different content distribution points, YouTube, most people are familiar with that, but also other types of platforms where people could access the event afterwards when concluded. So there's a lot of post-event support, some video editing, surprisingly, that we do quite a bit of that. In my world, I'll go in and we'll edit something and make that available to everybody to be able to consume. And then the last one item I would say is another area that I work on is consulting. So while I may do some of these areas and we work on that, I'm also working with consulting and advising where people have questions about live streaming productions and how they would implement a certain specific practice and what they want to do. From a LiveU perspective, this is where I want to jump into now, is going into the cloud production and live-to-air services, and then what I call remote production operator, RPO for short. So from a LiveU perspective, where I started out with LiveU is working with LiveU Studio. And so it actually started with a previous acquisition that LiveU made with EasyLive.io, which became part of the LiveU family, and now is incorporated with the LiveU field units. And now we also work on remote production support services. And what I mean by that from an RPO perspective is that what that really means is that a client, we come in with them, we'll be working with them to help them support their production. They may have their own LiveU Studio account, or they may use us or me to deliver on that, as well as what we'll do and work with the clients with their field units and also support other areas of the services. So I think the goal here at the NAB here is to really get familiarized with the ecosystem, because it really is kind of a full ecosystem now with LiveU. So our efforts with, as I just kind of covered that a little bit, is working in creating lightweight production. So one of the areas that we're working with LiveU and that I'm working on a lot on is lightweight productions. This might be where a client might have a LiveU field unit, let's say an LU300 or an LU800, and then we take that into LiveU Studio, and then we're able to then produce the show and deliver that into wherever they need to go to, and I'll cover that in some case study examples. But with LiveU Studio, in that REMI model, is really kind of an end-to-end workflow. We can work from the start of where it's on site, take that feed in, go into Studio, as well as going in and out to the distribution. And that kind of goes into the process that I'm describing right now. If we look at it from a LiveU cloud production, if you look at the elements that are supported today, there's the LiveU field units, which will support the LRT functionality into LiveU Studio, as well as third-party sources that might use a protocol like SRT, and then guest contribution, which might be coming in through another protocol called WebRTC. And I'll explain that in a case study example where we utilized the WebRTC functionality as well as some other elements there. But when you take these sources in here, you're going into LiveU Studio. You're vision mixing, you're adding all your graphics, your templates, you're managing your audio, as well as your clips and playlists for media playback or whatever you might need. So if we think about where cloud production really becomes, the beauty of it when it comes together in this fashion is traditional production. We would have an on-site setup that could be whatever you might be using, and vision mixing on-site and physical type of equipment. You're virtualizing this to a point, but you have the same process and workflow, right? And you're integrating some of those areas in terms of supporting your traditional production, as well as your distribution now becomes, I would say, more expanded, right? So we're not just going to social media, but can go to any type of content delivery network, right? That could be any CDN, if people are familiar with Akamai, Fastly, in different areas of the industry. And you can do this on any formats, right? That could be your traditional 16:9, or you can do a vertical format, right? It depends on, I think the beauty of the cloud, if we think about it, is what I call the elasticity of the technology, right? It's about adapting to what you need to do, or however somebody wants to do their production, and create their digital reality on that front. And obviously from the protocol perspective, they also support not just the RTMP, but they're also doing SRT, working with Zixi, HLS, right? So things that most people are familiar with if you've used it. So there's a lot of flexibility there. And then when I talked about remote production operator and team, we're coming underneath there. We're the support mechanism. So think of us as kind of the SWAT team, sometimes I'll use that word, to kind of help support the client or the production that we're working on in tech producing. So on a case study example, I'm going to bring up one example that we did a full virtual production. With Beacon, or Bladder Cancer Awareness or Advocacy Network, their goal each May is to do an event for May awareness for their fundraising. That's the major part of their organization's time. So what they did during the pandemic was they obviously did a virtual event like everybody else is doing, but they continued that. And what we did is basically help support them to do a full virtual event where you bring a guest in from the remote location, as well as bring in LiveU Studio. So we brought them in there. And then that gave them the capability through LiveU Studio to record the event for video on demand for later, to do live interviews, to bring graphic templates, and really kind of vision mix. And then add your sponsors. The beauty of this, if you think about it for just a moment, is that as you go from LiveU Studio, there's another partner here, Display. And one of the areas of production, obviously, is you want your graphic elements. LiveU Studio supports what they call HTML inputs. So that could be Display, it could be another graphics vendor. This gave them the capability as part of the live event and going out nationally, was to be able to pull this L bar, right? And you can have this rotating another operator. The behind the scenes in this production is I was located in Southern California. She was located in Nebraska. We had somebody else in Washington, D.C. We had another person out of Scotland that was monitoring and helping support the graphics elements here and kind of monitor the CG activity, as well as another person just behind the scenes monitoring just in case we needed some extra support. So a little bit of redundancy is what I'm going to come to on that one. I think the beauty of this was that it was very valuable for them because it took a lot of pressure off of them. They didn't have to spend a lot of money to produce the show in terms of physical studio equipment and everything else. So that capital expenditure savings allowed them to do some of the things, and we worked with them on that one, and they delivered that very successful. They enjoyed it. It gave them opportunity. It provided exposure for their members and what their message. And the next example, taken from a virtual event to what I would call the next level in the lightweight production framework. So if you think about it, just for a moment, we went from with Real Life Network. We worked with them. They did a live event last year in Washington, D.C. in a hotel. They took a live program feed from the venue using at the time, an LU300 that went in and sent back to me through LiveU Studio, where we had all the logos and lower thirds, same process before. But in their instance, what we were able to do is take that live event and deliver that into their OTT provider, which allows them to deliver their live event as kind of a TV broadcast. If we think about fast, different things that are happening in the OTT, people, how they consume content, which is really kind of the big key of that, of where people are viewing today outside of YouTube and traditional platforms. What we're able to do is go in there and support that process. Now, this was a next scale up, because obviously what we're doing is we're working with a team in Hawaii, back east, as well as another team in California, and we were on a set of a comm setup where we could all coordinate. This event in particular was interesting because the hotel venue, they had purchased internet connectivity to tie into the LU300, but because of the internet connection and the slowness of it, again, this is the beauty of LiveU, right? You use the bonded cellular connection. So we were able to independently run the event, manage it, and this went on 2 days, 5 hours a day, or actually longer than that, and pull that in and do that. It was successful. And we recently just did this again, where the client tested with the LU300 and we were working through this workflow. We then went to an LU800. So we went to the next level up, and we were in Nashville, or they were in Nashville recently. Same process. What we did is we took a 30-minute segment, took the LU800, ran a live input into LiveU Studio, and then be able to produce that again on this delivery method. So very successful, and it was good. And it was interesting because where we're seeing more of, where people want more independence and flexibility, again, with the technology and they're using for their events. So one area that I've worked with LiveU on, and that's been a great partnership, I want to highlight and thank LiveU for the opportunity to do this, is that another area where people talk about what is LiveU doing around the cloud, what does LiveU Studio look like, how do you learn more about it? I would encourage everybody to check out the tutorials we have, but also go over to the pod. If you talk to myself, Michael D., anybody there that's focusing on LiveU Studio, we're happy to answer any questions you might have. Talk about, because everybody kind of, I think, has a different scenario of what they want to try to achieve using a cloud production. And there's a lot of questions that come up. And one of the cool things about here in NAB is in the LiveU booth is that Michael or anybody can show what LiveU Studio does, but also the latest updates. So one of the areas that we talk about monetization, and we talk about the ways to do ad inserts and things such as that. There's now a process in LiveU Studio that you can see and learn more about that. If it's about replays or media content, how you play something in a clip, they can walk you through that process. So there's a lot of flexibility, and so people want to ask me, there's a lot of solutions out there in the industry with cloud productions. There is, and there's a lot of choices. But the beauty with LiveU is that you're buying in and investing in an ecosystem that has from the beginning of the unit into the cloud and other types of solutions, and a team of people that are able to support that. And that's kind of what I do along with LiveU, is provide that support to the clients, because it really is a partnership and a trust process to help make sure that we deliver on what the customer wants to see. So, with that, thank you. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I will be around, and if anything comes up, just let me know. Thank you.